Hey guys, I just want to let you know before we get into this episode that we've partnered with Band Builder Academy. Band Builder Academy is the #1 place to grow your music career. Run by top label manager and Sony Vice President Todd McCarthy, so you know it's worth it. Enter promo code CONCERTS at checkout to receive 10% off membership. Is everybody in? Is everybody in? The show is about to begin.
Welcome to the podcast, concerts that made us, interviews and stories, tales from the bus. We love taking you back to when it all went down, the greatest live shows and that cheering crowd sound. It's concerts that made us, concertsthatmadeus.com.
On this episode, I'm joined by Kel Adore. We chat about her latest single, Still a Child, her career, what's important to her, and much, much more. I know you're going to love this episode. So, without further ado, let's get on with the show.
Back when I was 8, singing about all the dreams that I had, and I just couldn't wait. All of my young insecurities written all over my face. Instead I've learned how to hide them, now I keep them buried away. I make them all say, man, she's got her act together, but they don't know the storms I weather. I'm a stranger. Myself dancing back when I was 3, dressing up like Shania or whoever I wanted to be. There in my mind I could do anything, and you know I believed the whole world kept turning around me. There was so much I couldn't see. Really thought I'd keep it cool, had my act together. I didn't know the storms I weather. I'm a stranger. Running through the backyard, falling, making new scars, chasing that last little bit of light. Wonder where my friends are, maybe at the skate park. Living our lives like we'll never die. Alone, I'm a stranger and all at once the future.
Kel Adore, you're very welcome to Concerts That Made Us.
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here today.
It's great to have you. It's great to have you now. We just kicked off the episode with your single, Still a Child. Would you like to tell us about it?
I would love to. So, this song is very near and dear to my heart because it's very personal and it's kind of about connecting with your inner child and just, you know, I guess kind of the loss of innocence to a point, right? Where we all start out as this kind of hopeful child with just a bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, I guess you could say. And then life happens, I think everybody has their storms that they weather. And so I really wanted to kind of capture that in this that, we're all just still kids at heart doing the best we can to weather the storms of life.
Yeah, yeah. I love the whole concept of the song though, because I often think to myself, you think back to when you're a child and it's hard to pinpoint the moment when you lost that kind of childhood innocence, and that kind of, when you're a child, you're dreaming about what you're going to be when you grow up and you have the world seems so magical almost. It's hard to
Yeah.
know when you lose that when you transition into an adult.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think I saw a quote or a post or something one time that was like, one day you went out and played with your friends for the last time. And
Yeah.
that just broke my heart. I was like, that's so sad. Because I know for me, like I would go out, riding bikes or just kind of playing with the neighborhood boys and you go to the park and like it's crazy to think, yeah, one day that did just stop. But I also think that, I think it kind of ebbs and flows for me, just having that kind of hope and that kind of excitement for the future. I think life, the way I view it, is kind of like a Ferris wheel. We all go through these cycles and it's always moving, it's always going to go up or down again. And so I think that just kind of learning to embrace that cycle has helped me just go, you know what? It's okay. It'll always either get better or if it's great, I need to anticipate that things might get hard again. And that's just life. But um, yeah, that's an interesting concept. When did we lose our childlike innocence?
Yeah, yeah, it really is. It really is. And the song is kind of extra personal for you. There's 12 little voices on the song as well. Would you like to share a bit about that?
Oh my gosh, yes. So I have nieces and nephews from all of my siblings. I'm the youngest of five kids, if you would believe it. And all of my siblings have kids. And when I was writing this song, I just thought, how special would it be if I could incorporate actual children's voices? And then I was like, oh, I have 12 nieces and nephews. So I sent a message out to all of my siblings. I asked them if they'd be willing to kind of participate in this project. And they just recorded on their phones with voice memos, and I gave them instructions, and they sent back the vocals. I was dying at how cute they were, and then we kind of went in and layered them and made a little chorus. And it's just it really brings out, I think, that childlike innocence, like you were saying.
Definitely, definitely. And how did they react to hearing their voices on the finished track?
Oh my gosh, so cute. They have been showing their friends, and one one of my nephews in particular, he's 4 years old, and he was hearing a part of the song that I was singing, and he was telling my sister, he was like, "Oh, that's me. I'm singing. I'm famous." And I think that in their childlike minds, they think that like, they've made it now, which is so adorable. But I've even had like my niece who is in middle school, she ended up showing it to her friends. And I think it's really a sense of accomplishment for them. And I do hope that it kind of shows them and inspires them that they can do whatever they want, as they grow up.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's really cool and such a nice thing for you to do as well. Even when they grow up, they'll be able to look back on it and say, oh my God, I done this when I was a child. It's going to be there forever.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good kind of diary or like a stamp in time. It's cute.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. And children are something helping children is something that's close to your heart, isn't it? You set up a charity, Feed the Soul.
Yeah, so I'm doing a benefit tour that I'm calling Feed the Soul because that's really my mission with music is to make music that doesn't just merely entertain. I mean, that's great, but I really want my music to feed people's souls, to connect. I think that's what music is all about. So I've started this virtual live stream concert series where I'm partnering with various organizations to raise money for the hunger crisis. And I actually just did one with No Kid Hungry. I figured it would be really fitting, given that Still a Child just came out, to partner with an organization focused on childhood hunger in America. And what's crazy is that I grew up watching commercials about just like, hey, donate to this organization to help, hunger in another country somewhere.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, right where I grew up, there are, I want to say like 6 million children specifically that could go hungry in any given year. And it just, it kind of breaks your heart to think about these kids. So I was able to do a live stream for No Kid Hungry, and we raised some money. It was such an honor to partner with them. And I will be continuing to partner with other organizations throughout the coming months. So stay tuned on my socials. I'm excited to continue to announce those and partner with these great organizations.
Brilliant, brilliant. That's really admirable now that you'd actually do that. But it's funny you said that when you were, younger, you seen these ads. We have those as well. And you made me just think of something. It seems to be all countries are more concerned with helping other countries before they help their own, because we have that problem as well. There's so many homeless and homeless children in Ireland, and the government are sending millions, to other countries, it's
Yeah.
it's a bit messed up.
Yeah, that's so interesting. And, I think people generally mean well, but I think sometimes it's the small ways that are the most impactful. And people automatically think, oh, if I go do a trip to, have a service trip somewhere across the world, it makes them feel important. And there is important work being done. I don't want to minimize that. I think it is great and wonderful. However, I think you're right. We often overlook the problems that are happening right where we are in our own lives, in our own cities, in our own countries. And, I moved to LA about a year ago now. And I think being here in a big city where I can see the homelessness and I can see the struggle, like really right across the street, there's someone that's sleeping on the ground, and then there's an insane expensive car that drives right by them, and there's just such a divide. And so I think that also has kind of been pivotal for me to see it a little bit more firsthand, to go, wow, there's a lot going on right now. But what I will say about these organizations I'm working with is they have real solutions, which is really cool. And I think like the hunger crisis is something we have solutions to, and we know how to respond to it. It's just a matter of getting the resources and activating the people. So that also is reassuring, right? That we can have the tools to address it.
Exactly. I can't wait to see what you do with it now in the future. And back to Still a Child. What was the process like from, coming up with the concept of it to writing it, recording it, and releasing it?
I love this question because it's a fun story. So my sister had sent me a video that I took of myself. She was like cleaning out her computer, and she just emailed like, hey, I found this. And I don't think I even really opened her email for months. And then I was just kind of going through my inbox, and I was like, oh, what's this? Why didn't I open this? Open it up. It's a video of myself literally singing to the camera. And just, I could see all of my young insecurities like all over my face, but I also really related to that girl. In fact, on my YouTube channel, you can go see the actual video. I have kind of a clip of it up there.
Yeah.
So if you're curious, but that kind of inspired this idea of like looking back and reflecting on home videos in particular. And I don't know if you're this way, but for me, like I grew up watching home videos of my family and of myself. And anytime anyone pulls those out, like it just gives you this very specific feeling. And I wanted to kind of capture that. So then, as we went into the writing process, I was really reflecting on kind of my childhood and these home videos. And then it kind of came out pretty naturally, just through the writing process. And usually I am very much focused on the verses. Like in terms of a songwriter, I can write verses all day long, but it takes time for the chorus to kind of come to me. So I had the verses done and I was trying to figure out what was like the point, what was the concept. And when Still a Child came to me, I was like, that's it. Like, this is it. So once we had that, the rest of the process was pretty seamless. And it was so exciting, you know, hearing the first versions and demos of this song, because I would just be dancing in the studio, just like so thrilled and excited.
I could imagine. I could imagine. I love though that, you know, it's a really catchy kind of pop song, but you can tell instantly that it means something to you. You know, I I feel like with the majority of pop songs now, they're just made to get people to buy them, you know, get people to dance to them. There's not much meaning behind them. You know, it's very corporate and businessy, but with your song, you can tell instantly, and as we've just heard, it really does mean a lot to you.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy you were able to pick up on that, because I think that is something I strive for, but you never really know, you know, am I hitting the mark? And how do you strike the balance between making something that is, you know, marketable and relatable? When I say marketable, I mean just relatable to people all over, but still has that element of just vulnerability and emotion. And I think for me too, like when I'm writing, I have to either cry or get chills when I'm writing. And if I if one of those things happens, I'm like, okay, if this resonates with me, then you know, my hope is that it can resonate with someone, you know, halfway across the world.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. The power of music, after all. And
Yes.
the next question, I love asking this because I personally feel like throughout my life, my memories are linked with songs. You know, it's like almost there's an album to my life and I can pick out
Yes.
specifically songs and it'll link to a memory. So, can you remember your very first musical memory?
Oh my gosh. So weirdly, I would say my first musical memories are little songs I would write by myself. Like ever since I was really little, I would just kind of make up songs. But I think, yeah, like I have a lot of memories of just kind of making up songs about like, you know, my little crush that I had in elementary school or those things. But I will say, you know, in terms of other influences, like I can remember very clearly, like Shania Twain. I talk about Shania in my song. My parents would play her all the time. Like I knew all of the lyrics ever since I was little. I just memorized lyrics and I knew all of the lyrics to her song. So I do remember just kind of driving or you know, driving in the car with my family, walking around the house and just listening to Shania Twain and belting her music.
She's I'm glad you said her. She's actually I love her. I've seen her in concert actually. I think it was
Ah,
2019, just before, you know, the
oh,
pandemic, and she hasn't lost it. You know, she's still just as she was back in the 90s when she was
incredible.
just after breaking onto the scene. She was unbelievable. One hell of
You
a show.
know, I am so jealous because I have never seen her live. And when she played with Harry Styles at Coachella and I saw that, I was like, ah, like I wish I had been there.
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
so iconic.
Yeah, it was the ultimate, the ultimate. And as a child, was music something that was kind of around the house a lot? Was there lots of musical influences in your life growing up?
Yeah, you know, my mom, she grew up doing theater, and I think she was the lead in cabaret in high school. And, you know, she did a lot of that kind of stuff. So she definitely kind of gave me that performance drive. She also was the captain of the Gatorettes at the University of Florida, where she literally twirled fire batons on the football field.
Right.
Like, so incredible. And so I think kind of that performance drive definitely came from her. My dad, he like actually my parents were just visiting in town last week and I noticed that he sings around the house a ton. Like he just sings songs all the time and I'm like, "Oh yeah, that happened growing up." So I don't think you know, there was a lot of like musicians per se in the family, but we definitely would like sing together in the house and just were constantly listening to music. So definitely had an influence there. But, I will say, I think for a long time, I didn't know I could kind of go beyond that and have music be more of a career because um, I didn't know anyone in the industry. So I always kind of viewed it as like impractical or like far fetched. And I kind of had like this wake up call of, why am I limiting myself? Like, I love this. This is what I am born to do. So why wouldn't I go for it? And that was kind of a big pivot for me.
I was just about to ask, what was the point then when you realized, I'm good at this. I could actually make a go of this. I have talent.
That's I would say I kind of stuffed down like my talent, I guess, for a long time because even though I grew up performing a lot and doing recitals and little fairs and singing with my sister and musical theater, um, I never really viewed myself as like super talented. My sister, she was known to have the more powerful, strong voice. And, I never got the leads in the musicals. I just didn't really think I had that much to offer. But I think I just kind of had a turning point where I was like, you know what? I need to lean in and embrace like my strengths, my natural, like the nuances to my voice, the songwriting. And so I was writing songs just all throughout my life, but I did go to college. I studied economics and I started working in corporate America, and I had kind of the perfect traditional life path. And as I would commute back and forth to work, I just was like having this itch to make music. And I think there came a point where I just like, I could not literally, I was obsessed. It was like an obsession. And I was like, I cannot just continue in this way or else I will look back and have regrets. So I think it was kind of in those moments that I decided to kind of bet on myself and go, yeah, I'm going to do this. And I think I'm still learning and growing. And there's so many amazing, talented people that I've learned to surround myself with and learn from. But I'm so excited. I feel like this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
I love that actually. You said you had, the perfect American dream. You had the job and, things like that would make you happy. But as you said, I always say to people, you kind of need something that feeds your soul. You could have the big job and all the money and everything, but if your soul isn't in it, it's not going to work.
Yeah, I love that. I love it because I do think as humans, we're very purpose-driven creatures. And if we can just find and identify what our purpose is and do even just small things to live out that purpose, in the long run, I think that's what will make us much more fulfilled and happy.
Definitely the hard part though is finding out what it is.
Yeah, yeah.
And you're also a model. What's it like juggling, music with being a model?
It's actually funny because when I kind of made the decision to, okay, I'm going to take music seriously, that's when I also decided to start modeling because I wanted to really learn more about just not just expression with my voice, but expression with my body and my expressions and just like the branding and the creativity. And I think that I kind of ebb and flow sometimes where there have been times where I've maybe put too many eggs in modeling and then my music suffers, or vice versa, where I'm like, all in on the music and then I'm, maybe not modeling as much. But I think that they do both work hand in hand because they're both very creative. You learn how to tell stories in different ways. And I think ultimately, both have kind of like enhanced one another where now I feel like I can draw from skills that I've learned from both and apply it to either music or modeling.
Yeah, actually they both they complement each other well. I like that.
Mhm.
Yeah. I never actually thought of that, but they're both kind of, in the entertainment industry, but I never actually would have made the correlation between modeling and singing, but yeah, I get what you're saying. It does make sense.
Yeah, I think with modeling too, a lot of people see it as like, oh, you're just like a coat rack. You're like a hanger or clothing. Like there's nothing to it, but there's a lot to it and it can be very, very artistic. So, I think that once I got into it too, I realized, oh, this is like a whole thing.
Yeah. So I always ask this. The podcast is called Concerts That Made Us. As a concert goer, what would you say are some concerts that have made you?
Wow. Okay. I'm gonna list, gosh, there's so many, but I'll list two. So one was the Goo Goo Dolls at Red Rocks Amphitheater.
Right.
Have you heard of Red Rocks Amphitheater? Or have you been?
I think I might have. Is it like a natural sort of amphitheater
Yes.
of rocks? I have, yes, yes.
So it's just outside of Denver, which is my hometown where I mainly grew up. And it is, like you said, natural rocks, just red rocks towering into the sky. The stage is down at the bottom. You can see over and you can see the city skyline, and then there's stars, and the music just reverberates around these rocks. It is incredible. And so I've been to a few concerts there, but the Goo Goo Dolls, when I saw them, I think it was just like so epic. They're such a classic band, and I think that really inspired me. You know, when they're standing literally on like this rock structure, like rocking out on the guitar, I'm like, that's amazing.
Yeah, it sounds
So
it.
that, yeah, it's my dream venue. So we'll get there one day. But then I would say the other one would be John Bellion. I went and saw him in concert, and he is very much focused on a lot of just like the live sampling and the live production. And he's so talented, but he knows how to kind of work a room. And just, I think the energy of that show was just unbelievable because he knew how to kind of draw people in, and it was just impressive. So, you know, it shows that I think kind of concerts that make me are the ones that have inspired me to improve my own performance and my own craft.
Two very good picks. I would have loved to have seen the Goo Goo Dolls there myself now. It sounds like it was absolutely the perfect venue.
Yes.
You mentioned he's a master of stagecraft. What factors do you think go into making a successful, career in music?
So many. I think ultimately when you're an artist, you are a CEO. Like, you are the CEO of your own business. And while yes, the art and the music I think should be, top of mind, there are so many elements that come into play in terms of, how you develop the stories that you're writing, and then the stories with promoting that, and then how you connect and translate that to your fans. And really, I think it's a gift that you're giving to your fans as an artist. So to me, I think the most successful artists are the ones who can do that really well. From the creation to delivering it to the fan, it's just constant giving. And with that, something I'm working on is how do I improve my live shows? And I started taking online dance lessons because, I did some dance when I was younger, but it's been a while. And I'm like, I want to be able to rock out with my fans. And so just constantly trying to figure out how can I give more, give more energy, put on a better show, and ultimately, like I said, connect with the fans.
How do you find, interacting with fans? When you're doing a concert, it's all about the exchange of energy with the fans, with the audience. How do you find that?
I thrive off of it. There's something that my husband actually jokes, like after I have a live show, he's like, you have the bubbles. Like you just are on a high after you perform, because I do like love kind of that exchange. But I think something I like to focus on as an artist as well is just thinking about it in terms of connecting with one individual. Because if you can connect with one individual, chances are you can connect with more and multiple. And that's really what I think pulls people into a performance, is when they feel like they're there with you and not just kind of like, lost in the crowd. So yeah, something I try to do is just like sharing stories and really making eye contact. And just, I think what's really rewarding at the end of a show is when I have fans come up and we just kind of talk and chat and we're all excited, and you can really have that connection.
I've never heard that now, singling out one person, and if you can affect them, you'll affect everyone. You reminded me of something someone said to me once about audiences. It doesn't matter if there's 4 in the audience or 20,000 in the audience is the same. If if you're there, the way you talk to them 4 people should be the same way you talk to the 20,000. It's the exact same.
That's amazing advice. I love that.
Yeah, yeah, it is. But I like that now. Connect with one person in the audience. It's a good one. It's something you wouldn't think of really.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, everyone has a different approach, but works for me.
Yeah, yeah, it's a good one. It's a good one. And from gigs you've played, then what would some of the highlights have been for you?
For me, I think it's putting on a good show and just being proud of myself, knowing that I put in the preparation and the work to give what I needed to give. Because I know when I've had a really good show, it's because I've put in the time to rehearse and to, practice and just prepare, mentally even for it, getting in the right mindset. And so that's a highlight when I can be proud of it. But I would say also is, kind of like I mentioned before, when I can have those fans that I engage with afterward and I kind of get that confirmation back that it really was something they enjoyed because it's there for them, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. And this one is definitely a question for the fans. What's your pre-show ritual? I've heard some people
Mm.
say that nobody can go near them for an hour, or other people are totally chilled out. What's yours?
Yeah, so I try to just kind of like I'll be with people, before the show, but I think it's really a whole day. It really starts like a week before I start to limit like my dairy intake and just really taking care of my voice. And then the night before, trying to get some good rest and all of that. And then the day of is when I'm really focused on trying to be present and just trying to visualize myself. So throughout the day, no matter what I'm doing, I will, run through my set list in my head. I'll kind of work through it. But really, like, I'll pause a lot and actually try to get outside because I think that does wonders for my mental health. And I'll go outside and kind of run through my set list, be present, and actually visualize the crowd in front of me. Then, when you get to the venue or the gig or whatever, I'll meet with my band and make sure that they're all good to go. But probably an hour to 30 minutes before I actually go on, that's when I'll go off on my own and I will, warm up my voice. I'll kind of shake it out, warm up my body, just kind of like get the jitters out again, trying to really visualize my show and my performance. Um, and that way, when I get on stage, I'm like kind of just already there, already in the mindset. And I'll let you in on a little secret. This is so embarrassing, but when I get nervous, I have like acid reflux. Like I start to literally gag. And I literally have been on stage before where I'm like having to gag right before, but as soon as it
Oh.
starts, I'm good. It's the weirdest thing. It's like as soon as the show starts, I am good to go. But I share this because I just want people to know that like it's normal to,
Hmm.
have these things we have to work through as performers. And that, even for me, where I've performed my entire life, sometimes I still feel that pressure. And you just have to kind of learn to accept where you're at and be present with your body. And then, for me at least, once I get going, I'm like, okay, I'm good. Maybe that's like TMI for you, but
No, no, not at all, not at all. I think it actually goes to show that, no matter how many shows you've played or how big you are, you're still a person.
yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And what must have been a highlight when it comes to concerts is you performed at the 2022 NAMM show. Would you like to tell us about that?
Yes, I would love to. So, for those of you who may not know what NAMM is, it's like the National Association for Music Merchants. So, it's a huge trade show that they do. All of the, instrument companies and sound companies and just like any person in the music industry will go to this show. So it was amazing. I mean, I was lucky to be able to perform not only one of the nights at an after party, but I also was able to perform at various booths. And I think it was just kind of a moment of like, wow, like I'm legit. Because I think sometimes we all get, the imposter syndrome a little bit, but I think it was an honor to be there to be performing at a music show. But I will say it was a little intimidating because I was like, everyone here is a musician. Everyone here is a master of their craft. And that really put the pressure on. But I was so grateful to NAMM for having me. And yeah, it was my first one, and it was just so great.
Oh, brilliant, brilliant. And how did you find the reaction from the crowds?
It was really good. You know, I had some really positive feedback. I even had some people ask for my autograph, which was kind of a first for me as a newer artist. And I was like, oh, you want my autograph? Like, it was just so sweet. So, you know, I took some pictures with people and, you know, signed some flyers and stuff. But I think the biggest compliment, I guess, or feedback that I got was just that someone said, you know, when you're on stage, you're good at just being. And that's what resonates with people, you know, not trying to like do too much and forcing people to watch you, but just existing. And I really attribute that to just me being present and just trying to be like, you know what, this is my music, this is who I am, and here you go. I hope you like it.
Well, I have to say, you sound like a performer now who's, you know, real and genuine. You know, I like it.
Thank you.
I think a lot of fans could probably relate to you a lot.
I really appreciate that. And it's easy to get caught up in this industry and just like all of the flashing lights, I guess. And while that stuff is fun and I love that stuff, you know, I think it just comes back to, why are you doing this? You know, are you doing it for the applause? Are you doing it because you want to prove that you're something? Or are you doing it because like this is what you're supposed to do and you want to share that with the world?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And we'll jump back a bit now. You released your debut single at the end of 2021. That must have been a very exciting time.
Oh, it was so exciting. It was kind of one of those things that, again, I never really dreamed would happen. Like, even just being on Spotify and Apple Music and all the streaming services, like, it was a big win for me because I had just never really thought that I would do that. You know, I thought, oh, I'll just write songs for my bedroom and I'll just like maybe play some stuff in my hometown. But I think it was really important for me to prove to myself that like I can do this. And also, I was so proud of the song Fool for the Pain. You know, I had done other demos and other things that just were not it. They were not me. They weren't how I wanted to come out of, you know, into the scene. So once we finished that song, I was like, hey, this is it. The timing is right. And, you know, here we are.
I feel like it's a stupid question now, but how was the reaction?
It was really good. You know, I had some people, even just I had never met, and this is my first single, you know, just kind of throwing things out there. But I had some people that would send me videos of themselves listening to it from all over the country. And
Oh.
I was just like, that's me. Like, wow, that's so cool. So that was really great. And I think really too, just like the people even in my life and friends and just, you know, the people that supported me and allowed me to get to this point was so amazing. And I'm just really grateful for that support.
Yeah, yeah, it's great. It's great. And, you know, when it comes to music careers, in your head, I'm sure you'd have a roadmap. What are you looking forward to? What do you want to achieve with your career? Where do you want it to go?
Man, the sky's the limit, right? But really, I think right now what I'm focusing on is just like putting in more of my reps to play live shows. Now that I have more music under my belt, you know, I have 3 songs released. I have much more coming. I have more music that's finished and we just are waiting to release. I'm working towards all of this. So I feel like I finally have, you know, my set list that I'm excited about and proud of. So right now I'm just focusing on kind of improving and getting my shows better and better. And, you know, I think the ultimate goal is being able to tour and meet my fans all over the country, all over the world, and just continue to kind of give. But one thing I will say is like, I've been thinking a lot about living my purpose at scale, right? Like if my purpose is not, my purpose is to sell out a stadium, right? That's a goal. I do have that goal, but that's not my purpose. My
Yeah.
purpose again is to, you know, feed people with my music and connect. And if I can just every step of the way, you know, be making these connections, then I feel like I'm on the right path, you know? So big goals, but good to stay grounded.
I like it. I like it. Good perspective. And before we move on to the last couple of questions, is there anything locked in for the rest of the year? Anything you can share that's happening?
So I will mention I have more Feed the Soul virtual benefit tours coming up. My next one is September 14th. I also have another one coming up in October. So you can check out my website, keladore.com, or you can check out my socials to get, updates there. And that's just at Kel Adore Music on Instagram and at Kel Adore on TikTok and Twitter. So just search Kel Adore, Keladore. But I'm really excited. And really, what I also like to say on these live streams is like, look, if you're only going to donate once a month, twice a year, I hope that this is a cause you can get behind. And I hope this is something that you choose to donate for, because none of the proceeds are going to me. It's all going to these amazing organizations. So come to the shows. I'll be playing some unreleased stuff on some of them. There's going to be some spoilers in some of them. So that's going to be kind of where you get to be the first to know.
Brilliant. Sounds great. Sounds like there are going to be some great shows, and I'll include all the links as well that you mentioned in the show notes, so it'll be easy for people to find. And
Perfect.
The last couple of questions, I'm afraid everybody gets these, so you can't get off the podcast now until you answer. If you could see any performer from history in concert for one night only, who would it be?
Wow. One from history. My first thought is Michael Jackson.
Right.
Because, I think that he kind of paved the way for a lot and broke a lot of norms and industry standards, and was just known to be an incredible performer, like just show stopping. So I would say that would be one of mine.
I'm not surprised now, and I'd love that myself. He'd be on my list as well. Like, it doesn't actually, when it comes to, stage shows and presence, doesn't get any better than Michael Jackson.
Whew, no.
Yeah, there's a reason the man is a legend, I suppose. And
King of pop.
yeah. And the next one, if you could spend 24 hours in a room with any artist from history, who would it be?
Oh, I know I already mentioned him, but it's got to be John Bellion. I love that he's kind of a songwriter first, and he also uses his production to tell stories and to enhance. And he's behind a lot of major hits, probably more than people realize. Miley Cyrus, Justin Bieber, like he's written for tons of people. And I just think his mind is very fascinating. So I think he would be a great mentor, which is why I would love to spend, 24 hours with him.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Now, normally people are like, I'll pick this person I idolize, like Jimi Hendrix or, Elvis Presley. But I like that you actually picked someone that would be a great mentor and could teach you some of their craft.
Yeah.
Great answer. And if there was a song that could appear on the soundtrack to your life, what would it be?
From any artist?
Anything at all.
Or anything at all? Oh, gosh. Okay. I'm immediately thinking like Taylor Swift, but there's so many of her songs. I want to say maybe like, which of her songs? Maybe Innocent, or even like Reputation. I know those are completely opposite, but they just are on my mind. And I think what's cool about being a human is the duality that we all face. We all have various parts and we're all very complex. So I would say, some of those songs by Taylor Swift, Innocent or Reputation.
Great ones. And the final one, to switch it around a bit, is there something I should have asked you?
Ooh, I guess you could have asked, like, what are some of the things I love outside of music? Because I do, I want people to know I'm more than just my music. Obviously, it's like everything to me, but you know, we are multi-dimensional people, and this is focused on concerts. But I would say, yeah, just like what my interests are outside of music.
Okay, do tell.
So I can go ahead and answer. Yeah. I love just, I guess I did kind of mention that, but you know, going to the beach, going on hikes. I grew up in Colorado, Rocky Mountains. So, you know, the mountains always have a warm, special place in my heart. And I grew up four-wheeling and horseback riding and all of those wonderful things. But lately I've also just really been into just like, you know, hanging out, reading, doing puzzles, kind of boring stuff.
Not at all.
But yeah,
Great.
that was a very kind of silly question, but that was the only thing I could think of because you did such a good job with the interview.
Thank you. Listen, it's been an absolute blast chatting with you, and I genuinely look forward to seeing what you do in the future.
Thank you so much. I loved being here and really appreciate you. So hope you have a great rest of your day.
Couple of lovers out by the dark, hand in hand, and a laugh wouldn't stop. Wonder what he said into her ear. Stolen touch at a table for two. That was the kind of thing that we used to do, but that was all before I knew. Running back to all your exes, more than I can count, 'cause you never learned your lesson. Was it easy living such a lie? Maybe one day we'll be happy again, happy again. 'Cause I don't want this to end. Maybe one day we'll be happy again, happy again. 'Cause I don't want this to end. Charming me the way that you do. Bet you played that you're gonna do. Broke our trust for someone new. Twisted games of Jekyll and Hyde. How do you fall? Living two different lives. Had your back, but mine is a knife. Gave my life, who knew you'd take it? Did it for yourself, now I'm finally awakened. Wish that I could just forget. Maybe one day we'll be happy again, happy again. 'Cause I don't want this to end. Maybe one day we'll be happy again, happy again. 'Cause I don't want this to end. Does she still cross your mind? She crosses mine each time you touch me. Can I forgive the lies and question it if you still love me? Maybe I won't. 'Cause maybe I can't let go. Maybe one day we'll be happy again, happy again. 'Cause I don't want this to end. Maybe one day we'll be happy again, happy again. 'Cause I don't want this to end.
Hi, I'm Zach, host of the Belated Binge podcast, and I'm here to try to convince you to join us as we re-binge some of the most iconic series in recent memory that I also happen to have nearly missed out on, like our current reread of the Harry Potter series, which Despite growing up through the hype, I somehow didn't read until I was in my mid-20s. That's the belated part. But now that I have, they're some of my favorite forms of entertainment, so we're going back, a chapter or two at a time, discussing world building, character motivations, plot holes, we theorize, we foreshadow, and we give away meaningless awards. That's the binge part. If you like Harry Potter and need an excuse to reread them, or just a distraction from your day job, you can listen anywhere you get your podcasts. And don't hesitate to join the discussion on the Belated Binge podcast. Please.
Hey guys, I really hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please rate and review us on iTunes and Spotify. And if you're interested in signing up to Band Builder Academy, use the link in the show notes below and enter the code CONCERTS and you'll receive 10% off. So, until next time, keep rocking. Hey, what are you guys still doing here? The show's over. It's over. You can go home. Go on. We'll see you next time. We'll be here. Bye.